So we talked about in our last video the three evidences that we have about who Jesus said he was, right? He says he's the Son of God who came down to earth. So how can we believe that? We saw through witnesses, people said that they saw amazing things happen and that they believed it. We saw through miracles that people witnessed and saw and believed in Jesus when they didn't believe in Jesus. And also we saw Jesus' own words, even when he had the chance to save his own life by saying, you know what, you're right, I'm not the Son of God. He said, no, I am, right? So we have to do something with that, right? We have to make a decision. Either Jesus is telling the truth or he isn't, or something else. And there's this really wonderful thing. It's called the Trilema, just in case, $10,000 word, in case you want it. But it's just this kind of basic argument idea here. It says, if Jesus says he's God, right? That's it. Jesus says he's God. If it's true, then it means that he's really the Lord. That means he's really the Son of God. He really is who he said he was. He really dies for our sins. He's really God in the flesh. He really comes back to life. And it means something for our lives. Or it could be false. And if it's false, one thing is he's a liar, right? He just knew it was wrong and he just did it because he wanted to get a big following of people. He wanted to start a religion, maybe he wanted to get rich. That didn't go so well if he was a liar, right? Like he got nailed to a cross and killed. So I think we have to look at the evidence there and say, you know what, if Jesus was a liar, he was really committed liar, right? Because he ended up dying for lying and saying that he was God, but it didn't turn out well for him, right? And if so, why would we still, 2,000 years later, be talking about him? There are a lot of people back in that time, before and even after, that said they were gods, and we don't talk about them like this. Like, we don't worship them, you know. They were Roman emperors who thought they were God, and we don't talk about them like that, right? There's not a church of, you know, Caesar Augustus. Like, there's not that, right? Like Nero, there we go. Nero thought he was a god, right? He wasn't. We don't talk about Nero as a god. No one has like a church service and they're like, you know what? Yeah, Nero's our god. And we're like sing worship songs to Nero, a Roman emperor. It doesn't happen, right? Because it was wrong. In history, people just let go things that are wrong. Like if Jesus was just lying and he got killed, it would be buried. We wouldn't be talking about him at all. We wouldn't even know the guy's name, honestly. So again, if Jesus says he's God and it's false, the only other thing is if he's not a liar, he's got to be crazy, right? Like, I've met some crazy people who thought they were stuff. When I was in LA once, on Skid Row, where there are a bunch of homeless people, I talked to a guy for a while who thought he was Noah. And he said the ark was in the basement of the building across the street. And he was getting ready. You know, I was like, why would you put an ark in a basement? First of all, that's a bad idea. If it floods, it's going to be under the water. Oh, okay. Anyway, but the guy obviously wasn't Noah, right? Like, I wasn't willing to, like, stake my reputation on the fact that this guy was Noah. All of the disciples ended up following Jesus, ended up getting killed, thrown in jail, beaten, whipped. I mean, bad stuff, right? Because they believed that Jesus was who he said he was. And if he was just a crazy person, like, don't you think some of the disciples would have written it off? I think so. Again, I didn't give up anything for believing that that guy was Noah because I knew he wasn't. In the same way, if Jesus says, I'm the Son of God, and he's just kind of a crazy person, I don't think that many people would have followed him. And if they did follow him, I don't think it would have lasted, right? It would have died because he died. Right? Like after all those people who followed Jesus believed in him, like it would have died out, right? Like those people who like, you know, believed in the craziness, like after they died, like why would it keep going? There would be no good reason for it to keep going. The only thing that makes sense for me is that Jesus was telling the truth when he said, I am the Son of God. When the Jewish high priest asked him, are you the Son of God? You say you're the Messiah? He says, yes, I am. Right? Like, I think Jesus is telling the truth. I think that means amazing things for life. It means that he loves us. It means that God loves us enough to come down and die for us on a cross. And not only that, that he comes back to life. We're going to be talking about that coming back to life in our next video.